Bob and Rose were each other's only love.
They had married in their 20s, and not only were they each other's first love, they were each other's only love.
Aging, they had both become more fragile.
And their grown children all agreed they needed assisted living.
That worked, until Rose's doctor told them Rose was hospice eligible.
Meaning she had 6 months or less to live.
Bob stayed in the assisted living, and Rose was admitted to the Hospice of Saint John.
And sadly, for the first time in their marriage, they were apart.
A difficult situation for the couple and their children. They both longed for more time with each other,
especially as they knew they had less time.
Understanding their unique relationship, the Hospice of Saint John staff worked tirelessly to make special arrangements for Bob to move into the second bed in Rose's private room.
Within weeks of receiving care, Rose was feeling well enough to sit by the fireplace with Bob, sing a few favorite tunes with the hospice staff, and even share some meals with Bob in the hospice dining room.
2 months after Rose was admitted, Bob too was diagnosed as terminal.
In hospice, patients whose death is imminent within 48 hours are said to be on watch.
Even though each was weak and would drift in and out of sleep, both had sensed what was happening.
In spite of the fact that both were actively dying,
they were still together, just the way both had wanted.
Dying is a part of living. Getting people to realize that is probably the biggest issue in our society from a healthcare standpoint.
Doctors are afraid of talking about hospice. They're always talking about curing up until the very end.
I think people are worried about suffering. And one of the beautiful things at hospice is we're experts in controlling those symptoms.
Here, they take the time and they make sure you know their name and keeping the dignity that he deserves.
When it's time to pull back and to let somebody die peacefully, we need to start recognizing that more and loving someone enough to let them go.
We love you.
I'm very happy.
Okay.
And to you.
All right. You take care.
You know, you can make somebody who really hasn't been able to live the way they want to live again, and to make those good days come back.
Yeah, I really feel good here.
Good. And everybody's getting you what you need?
Everything. Oh, the help here is out of this world.
I can't explain what a new world this is. I could not believe what I saw here.
For over 34 years, the terminally ill and their families have depended upon the Hospice of Saint John.
Anytime I see anyone, they ask me about the place, I tell them, you cannot beat St. John's.
Who do we serve? The short answer is everyone in our community. Since 1977, we have offered care across the Denver metropolitan area and surrounding Front Range, regardless of gender, race, religion, or the ability to pay. Essentially, we provide care in nearly any environment our patients call home.
This hospice doesn't care who we take, whether they have the money or not. They get in the same great care.
The house, the home, the building, the center, it's not about those things, but it's about the people that make things special.
It's difficult to work with patients who are younger. It's difficult when you see them as someone that could be your father. You see them as someone that you could be friends with.
I had a gentleman that came here and used to be a mailman, so he had big hands, but, very small, frail body. And I can remember him looking at me and being teary-eyed when he was signing paperwork to come on our service. And he said, so this means that somebody's really going to take care of me, and they're going to give me clean sheets and help me eat. And I just cried right there. And it's like, we don't realize the difference that we make in people's lives.
And it's all of us. It's not just one department or the other one. It's all of us working together.
They're so appreciative. It can be something that they verbalize to me, A lot of times I will just stick my head in a patient room while they're eating, and it takes all their strength they can muster to give me a thumbs up. And that just lets me know that, what we did that day hit the spot for them.
And people will ask me, well, how could you ever do what you do? And it's like my response, and many others here, our response is, how could we not do what we're called to do?
And there are no boundaries as to what they'll do. Through the efforts of our volunteers and loving staff, no request at the Hospice of Saint John is ever left ungranted or unheard.
We had a patient several months ago who wanted to have an airplane ride. One of our volunteers, he had offered to take this patient in a plane ride, and he had a biplane. And the plane buzzed the hospice. Now here's a biplane buzzing the hospice. And after the plane ride, I said, didn't you see us waving at you down in the parking lot? And he looked at me and he says, I didn't see anything, my eyes were shut tight. Those are the kinds of things that we do for our patients and for the families to make the transition as comfortable and as easy as possible.
The Hospice of Saint John offers the highest pastoral care to patient ratio in the country, providing the unique ability for counseling and bereavement support anytime, anywhere, and for virtually any religious denomination.
We have a large number of pastors because we believe that it's a person who have physical needs, but also have emotional and spiritual needs.
I have served Buddhists, I've served atheists, I have served all stripes, all phases, all faiths.
Sometimes they're just looking for a person of God to be there in giving them that sense of comfort that they need.
Since the doors were opened in 1977, the extraordinary care provided over the years has earned the Hospice of Saint John full accreditation by the Joint Commission, the gold standard of the healthcare industry. Many of the achievements are the legacy of two men, Father Paul von Lobkowitz, founder of the Hospice of Saint John, and former executive director, Father Peter Wellish. Together, these two men laid the foundation of what the Hospice of Saint John has become today.
The basic philosophy of hospice is to give a place and the wherewithal for a person who is facing the end-of-life decisions to live as comfortably and as fully for as long as possible.
I want them, the world to know how wonderful a place this is and how well taken care of you are.
There's no rush to go to heaven, you know.
Father Paul was a unique, tough, extraordinary, funny, committed saint. He wouldn't like that description, but he was. His vision was to find the opportunity for a freestanding facility. And one of the things we don't realize today is that that was a very bold and visionary idea.
And that visionary idea has expanded over the years. In addition to our facility, our staff provides the same quality of care and treatments in the comfort of many of our patients' homes and residences as well.
It's just a comfortable place rather than being in a room. He's out here where he feels part of the family.
The hospice, I make one little request. The next thing I know, somebody's knocking at the door with the fulfillment of my request.
And they seem to care about us. People that care about you love you. At least I think they do.
The convenience of having hospice come here is they don't have to leave the home. They don't have to worry about going and seeing the doctor. They come here and take care of them.
Providing comfort for our patients is always our highest priority. As experts in palliative care and pain management, we combine the highest quality medical direction with clinically proven integrated therapies, social services, and bereavement support.
We are familiar with controlling pain in people that are closer to end of life. And that's a specialized type of care that we provide.
Aroma therapist, music therapist, we give massages, a lot of things that I don't think a lot of hospices do, but we do, and it's not mandated by the federal government or any insurance company, but it's something that I've seen make a difference in people's lives, and I think it sets us apart.
and these services are always provided free of charge to patients and their families.
Here's a dog, and here's the cocktail hour, and people enjoying life, because they've made a choice. Hospice is about making a choice.
Unfortunately, all of these services come at a price. In our effort to maintain our level of care with the growing need for hospice, our costs now exceed our income by $1 million each year. And since many of our integrated therapies aren't covered by healthcare insurance, the need for volunteers is also growing. At some point, you or a loved one will need hospice. Your help will let us continue to provide that care.
We take care of patients and their families so that they can die with dignity, with love, and in peace.
All of us have these amazing lives and these amazing stories. And yeah, we're so special and so unique until the end.
Bob and Rose had the kind of love that most want.
When asked for the secret of their marriage for so many years,
Bob explained that they kept their relationship alive by talking to each other, their rule for living and loving.
In fact, Bob stated they would say a sweet goodnight to one another every night.
Bob called that his eraser,
explaining that saying goodnight would ensure them of a sweet, fresh start the next day, every day.
Good night, sweetheart, were the last words uttered by Bob, barely above a raspy whisper, as they both fell into a final sleep.